It's John and Rachel. Good morning. This is your typical check-in here. Where are we doing the podcast today? That's going to be it's not going to be a secret. It's not going to be a secret.
Okay.
Anyways, as you know, while you guys go get your coffee and your English muffin or whatever you're going to, your Pop-Tart, whatever you're going to do, we're going to have a little bit of music. So you, Eric and Ann, you guys have been on our radio show. So tell us a little bit about you guys, Ann. All right, Eric, you're up then.
Yeah, so we're a local band. We're the Altered Egos. We've been playing together for a little over a year. Ann's my daughter. We have other friends in the band. We've kind of cracked the local scene lately. We played Jurgles last week. We're out at 31 Sports Bar tonight. We're at Tapache Mexican Restaurant and Kitchen next week for the Cinco de Mayo. Cool. And we're just having fun.
Where does everybody find you online in case they watch the song and then go, wow?
Yeah, it's great. So we have a website, thealteredegos.com. We're on Facebook as The Altered Egos. We're on Instagram. We have a YouTube channel. So we're going to be putting some originals out, two of which we're doing today.
Typical Pittsburgh because it ends up with an S. Altered Egos. You know, like Sheetz's and Walmart's.
And Sally Wiggins.
Right. All right. You guys have a song for us? What's the name of the song?
This one is called Max and Ruby.
All right. Good.
Oh, like the show?
Yeah, like the show.
Do it.
Ready?
Yep.
The sky is getting dark and the air is cold, but I feel a fire in my soul begin to grow. Society's made me feel like I'm all alone, seeping into my skin all the way to the bone. They made me feel like I've lost all of my strength, but the truth is that I'm not that easy to break, and I'm scared of what I might decide to do with this passion in my heart that's coming through. Na 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 na. And I think that I have gone insane, 'cause I got a lot to think about, you see, and I got a lot to do today, but it might be easier if I run away and go far away, but I'm not going today, 'cause I'm try again, but it might not work, my friend, and tell me, am I going crazy? Or is that just how life's supposed to be? Tell me, am I going crazy? Or is that just how life's supposed to be? 'Cause I've got Max and Ruby on my TV screen. Am I 5 years old or am I 19? I've got Max and Ruby on my TV screen. Am I 5 years old or am I 19? I've got a lot to do and a lot to say, but I might fade away, but I'm not made that way, 'cause I've got a lot to do to plan on my game. I've got a lot to prove that I'm not insane. I've got to dream big and set aside the pain, 'cause I'm cooking up a storm and it's about to rain. Woo! Tell me, am I going crazy? Or is that just how life's supposed to be? Tell me, am I going crazy? Or is that just how life's supposed to be? 'Cause I got Max and Ruby on my TV screen. Am I 5 years old or am I 19? I've got Max and Ruby on my TV screen. Am I 5 years old or am I 19? Tell me, what's going on with your brain? And am I gonna hear you've gone insane and that they're gonna put you away? 'Cause I've gotta tell you everything that's going on with my life, but I can't if you've gone away, so please don't be that way. I'm gonna cry today, and tell me, am I going crazy? Or is that just how life's supposed to feel? Tell me, am I going crazy? Or is that just how life's supposed to be? Tell
the words of John. Woo!
All right. I'm
That was
sorry for
awesome.
that. But
No,
if you
no.
need a hype man, I'm in. All right.
He
I'll
needs
see
a
you tonight at
screamer.
31 Sports Bar.
Yeah, you guys, that was
All right,
fantastic.
nice,
We're glad
great.
you're hanging around.
The
We can't
Alter
wait to
Egos,
chat.
they'll be back to talk to us. In the meantime, this is behind the scenes of the YaJagoff Podcast, and you'll see people coming in and out. And then Monica will edit it down and make us all sound really good. All right, so here's how we start the podcast. Honda is like Cher, Elton, Oz. One word phenoms people know all about. So the most cost-effective is the HR-V. The longest-lasting is the Accord. And when it comes to a good year for Honda, when considering a used vehicle, 2013 is a good one for quality and price.
Wow, just a few reasons to buy a Honda, and the Rourke Advantage solidifies that reason for RourkeHonda.com for all of your vehicle needs. And now we start the YaJagoff Podcast from EYV.
I knew it was coming.
I had to. That's the third time. You need to laugh at it, and then I'll stop.
There you go. All right, so then you hear all these people say, YaJagoff, 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 and we say, this is John and Rachel, this is the YaJagoff Podcast, hoping that you'll take a second to subscribe to it and tell your friends to subscribe to it, because we would appreciate it. If you're on iTunes, please say something nice, because that's the only way our families validate what we do every Saturday and why we're out. But listen,
Before we get in?
Yeah, before we get into it, we want to remind you, you can listen to us on Q92.9 every Monday through Friday for YaJagoff on Q. We play a few songs and we talk to a few Pittsburghers.
A lot of Pittsburghers, great stories to tell. And make sure that you are subscribing on a regular basis, because we think our podcast is pretty cool. Thank you so much for the fact that we are up for 5 Golden Quill Awards. That is a journalistic award that I always say I never won anything when I was at the Tribune Review until I partnered with John Chamberlain. And here we are up for 5 different Golden Quills. So thank you to you Pittsburghers who made these stories unique.
Yeah.
And our blog posts, they make
Right.
it unique. This is John's way of getting out his anger when he's road raging.
Yeah.
Start.
So the blog is happens every Monday through Friday, except for Tuesdays. Sometimes there's a video on Thursdays. But the biggest one, I think, Rach, let's forget the first one, but the Frogger on McKnight was you.
Yeah, it really was. So I left an event that we had, and I went to pick up my grocery order from Aldi, no S. And as I was sitting there in the rain, waiting to kind of make a right onto McKnightmare Road, there was this person who was completely prepared for the rain. Umbrella, hood, all completely ready. However, dodging 4 lanes of traffic to walk across the street. I did block out the face. I put a smiley emoji, but let's face it, McKnight Road is not the place to cross the street.
Right.
Agreed?
And we're going to make a video of all the people that do fake runs going across the street.
We hate
You know,
fake running.
They
When
do
they're
that fake
slow,
jaw like, oh,
but
you're
they
there?
think-
Oh.
yes,
Yeah, we're going to
yes,
make
yes.
a video of that. But
Okay,
also,
bathroom built-
Tracy, who
Tracy,
books our
did you see
podcast,
it?
her work restroom was on the, do you say bathroom or restroom? I don't even know.
I said
but
bathroom.
anyways, their bathroom is very, very nice, very, very clean, but set up for failure for people who stand.
Who says
because the toilet is here on your right and the sink is on your left. You if you're a stander, you're a very nice person and you put up the lid, right? And then you put it back down when you're done. However, when you wash your hands at Tracy's bathroom, you have to then hover over the toilet with your sprinkling hands to get the paper towels.
Sprinkle hands.
So now
Opposed to
you're like,
spirit
oh my
fingers.
God, now they think I peed on the seat.
No one thinks
Set
that.
up for failure. So then now you have to go wipe the seat again. So anyways, bad design.
And then wash your hands again.
And also, we turned in our Yinzer cards this past week because we had no idea that in Lawrenceville there was a place called Tree Pittsburgh that is
We're
preserving
ashamed.
all kind
Yeah.
of trees in Pittsburgh.
Completely.
What? So we had no idea, but we watched People's Gas give $50,000 to them, as well as 60 volunteers went and planted some trees.
It was a great event. Check
Pretty
out
cool.
the video on our social media. All right, we need Mike. Calling Mike.
Mike
is our
Chef
host.
Mike, don't trip on
Little
anything.
background on EYB. Be
So here's
careful.
our story with Mike. He was at another restaurant, which will remain nameless, and we really liked him. And he did a few things with us. He showed couples how to, on a dating night, how to make chicken soup
Do
and
you
all this
remember
stuff.
that?
Then
I do.
he had the best Brussels sprouts in the city.
So much so that we are still on the quest that John and I want to do a Brussels sprout tour, and we are game for anybody who wants to join us, where we like restaurant hop for Brussels sprouts, right? It's-
Don't threaten me with a good time.
I know, right? We'll start
Mike-
here.
so
don't
then
worry.
Mike decided, he goes, hey guys, I'm going to go off the grid for a little bit. So he was Homer Simpson, faded into the hedges, and 2 years later or whatever, he evolved
Here he
down
is.
here at EYV on East Ohio Street. And Well, congratulations on
Thank
opening
you guys.
this place.
Thank
this
you
is
for
so
being
cool.
here. Thanks for
Are
letting
you
us host
kidding?
you guys.
Yeah.
We're going to, and congratulations to you guys too. You're like Biggie Smalls, like blowing up like I thought you would. So
We said,
Biggie Smalls.
I'll take it. That's a compliment. No, you're fantastic, and we love you. Always supported us. That's sort of the moral to this story, right? When you were at the Foundry, which you have great relationships with the folks at the Foundry, so it's
Yeah.
obviously a good shout out. You did great things.
people there. Love that place
Yes,
still.
but the Brussels sprouts, you hold the recipe, bro. That's the
I'll
reality.
happily give it to you.
I
mean,
love
we don't
it. I
like
love it.
keep secrets. We'll share whatever you want. It's not Fort Knox over here.
That's the best part about Chef Mike. So, very long story short, everybody in Pittsburgh was blowing up the fact that we finally have a vegetable place. So, this I know about Mike. He's not a vegetarian, right?
No.
He is not anti-meat. He just thinks we should eat more vegetables, essentially. And I love that because it's such a true thing. My husband and I came. It was supposed to be like a post-date night for Valentine's Day. And full disclosure, because you know the story, he wanted to go to
think I was here.
You were. He wanted to go to Dianoia's. And I said, I understand. And it's a great place.
Also fantastic.
Fantastic, exactly. But I really want you to try EYV. And he did it. And he is a carnivore. Let me tell you. Came here and is smitten. We're coming back. We actually know people who are coming tonight.
Oh.
Yes, so I'll have
Please
to.
do tell afterwards.
I will.
Let them know you said hello. And
I said that. I was like, tell the chef you know me. But listen, tell us. I kind of gave those things away, but tell us about the secret to EYV and why you're always full at this point.
Well, I think the thing is mostly is our staff, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we have such a great team here. They really set the vibe for everything. I'm only one person. I'm kind of just steering the ship, and everyone else makes the ship run, so to speak. So, like our team in the kitchen, Jordan and Jake, they're the ones executing every night, prepping every day. Rod in the front of the house, Adam up here, Ava, Bobby, our porter. Like it's a whole teamwork, make the dream work thing. So
Yes.
It's really just I try to not get in the way so much anymore, which I'm trying to learn because I really want to be hands-on and be in everything. And sometimes you have to realize like you're just gumming up the work sometimes and need to stand back and just let people do what they're great at. And that's just they have the same passion and care for hospitality and just let them do their thing and make people happy. And that's what we want to do. Like we want you to feel better leaving here than when you came in because everything's so chaotic in the world nowadays going on, and hopefully the little 2 hours that you're here, you can kind of just melt away and just forget about everything and just relax and be yourselves.
Right here on the north side.
Right here on the north side.
I love that.
Mike, well, this seems to be like a restaurant that would need a lot more research and development before you go live, kind of thing. Just trying to, the vegetables that taste like pastrami. Like, how long did it take you to, or did you kind of have these things in your head anyways and taste tested them along the way?
So I think when I left the Foundry, in 2018, I think sometime. So 4 years, it's been slowly just R&D, and there was a lot of. This wasn't even settling on this, concept. I knew we wanted to be vegetable something, but meeting with investors and things like that. So I'm like, well, that's great, but maybe we should do this and this. And then it was kind of like, well, I don't know. And then, COVID kind of gave a good chance to reset. I'm like, well, I don't even know if we're going to do this. And then it's like, well, screw it. If we ever get through COVID and things come somewhat back to normal, whatever that means, we're just going to let it rip tater chip and this is it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, but at least we're going to go down swinging. Yeah. So just slowly jotting ideas down over 4 years. I think that cabbage dish I wrote down sometime when I left the Foundry, just in my Apple notes. Okay. One day, and then the first test run it was when our friends over at Station, when they were kind enough to let us do a couple pop-ups before we opened. That was the first time ever tried it and debuted it, and we've just slowly been refining it and slowly refining it and tweaking it. And that's everything here, The first time we put something on the menu, we're still tweaking everything. It's we have carrot spatzel on now. I think we're on version 7 of the spatzel batter right now. I did the other day. Okay. And so at some point, my staff will tell me in the kitchen, hey, I think this is good enough. We can stop. Show you things like that. It's I need that editing. I'm well, if we just change it, they're chef, 4 more grams of salt isn't going to make a difference. So I'm all right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Enough.
You're like the Apple phone updates, right? It's we're on Spetzel 7.16.
Yeah, and they're what's different in here? And oh, you're going to notice it. And they're just we notice it. And I'm like, yeah, you're just a psychopath chef. So just
So, and if I understand, and tell me if I'm wrong, but your menu it's very limited, right? Because it's things that you have mastered. It's things that you're not saying there's 20 things. You're saying these are 8 things that I've done well and I'd like to share with you, and then that changes. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's a good point. It's also actually just space limitations too.
Sure.
So we don't have a walk-in cooler like you find most restaurants. So we have just 3 little reach-in refrigerators and just our station refrigeration. So space was the main issue that kind of dictates the menu, what we could bring in. So we originally wanted to do more meat as garnish when we first opened, and just realized where do we put this stuff? And you can't call up your meat local, Jubilee Hilltop, like, yeah, can I just get like 1 pound of like meat? And they're just like,
Right.
like, maybe not. So it's like, all right, so we just have to pivot that way. So we've tried to work things in that kind of, makes sense in the dish and like our space consuming. So like the meat and potatoes dish we did when we first opened, bone marrow was easy to store. We could roast that. We have caviar on the menu now, which is easy to store.
I didn't know you had caviar.
Oh, we have caviar on now. We have some on deviled eggs, dill pickle deviled eggs, egg on egg crime.
I want this. Oh my God, who doesn't want that?
They're excellent.
Tracy, are you going to have egg on egg crime? Yeah, you're in. You're in. Excellent. I love it. So for people who are naysayers, as I use my husband as the example because he is a guy, if we go somewhere, it's I'm having a burger, I'm having a steak kind of thing. Have you heard others say, wow, I'm shocked at what you can do with vegetables?
We have a lot of people that said like, I didn't miss the meat. I think that's the biggest compliment. And like, oh my God, I didn't think I was going to be full, and we're full.
Right, full. That's a good point.
And like with the cabbages, that's a weird thing. We've had people who are vegetarians come in and have it and just be like, I wanted the vegetarian version. Like there's meat in here. I'm like, no, there's no meat in this dish. So,
that's cool.
So like the old switcheroo on them, like they just think, but
you're tricking them.
But people, if you think like people love vegetables. They're just like, when I think it's just the bad rap of getting like you soak vegetables with a vegan or vegetarian restaurant and like, oh, well, there's nothing there. We use a lot of butter. We use a lot of cheese.
Okay.
All these things. But, we get such great produce locally from Tiny Seed Farm, Cold Cove Farm, B. Wilder. You go to a farmer's market, Bloomfield or Squirrel Hill, they're packed.
Yes.
All the time. So it's not like people are averse to vegetables. I think just people have had so many bad vegetables or just like, because they're an afterthought instead of just showing like, we're going to treat a vegetable the same way you treat a piece of meat or a fillet of fish.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Well, I like what you said. You're going to using the meat as the garnish, so it's flipping the equation there. Yeah.
And like, it's kind of worked out where we honestly haven't had, like, I expect to be a lot more like, where's the meat? Where's the meat? Busting our chops. And like, that was us kind of poking fun too at that first dish we had on the menu. We called it meat in potatoes, being a meat and potatoes town.
Right.
So that was our kind of fun, like poking up. But like, we haven't really heard like too much. Like, a couple people have like, oh, do you plan to have meat in the future? I'm like, well, maybe if we get another cooler or something like that. But like, it's been very well received. So I've been kind of surprised about that.
Yeah.
So
well, and I think too, we were talking about this on the radio last night. You hit the nail on the head. There are so many farmers markets now in so many different communities that people are appreciating the fact that produce is there. We should be utilizing it so much more. And I know the farmers markets are more than just vegetables, but still, they're flourishing. And I think that's so important that we recognize that as Pittsburghers, who would have thought, right, that we were going to care enough about produce? Yeah, no, I love
Mike,
it.
We, just from knowing you and all you've done, again, you ghosted us for 4 years, but we're not holding.
We're not mad.
You.
No,
but,
I'd shoot an Instagram message every now and then.
We did, yeah.
I love
It is a two-way street, John. I would just lay on my phone. I would just lay on my phone at night in bed, looking like, why doesn't John message me?
And I'm sorry, can I point out who ate here already? This girl.
Mike, you deserve everything good that comes to you. So the best of luck here.
Likewise.
Where does everybody find you guys online so they can look at the menu, at least peruse what you're doing down here?
Well, you can find us on our website at eyvrestaurant.com. Our whole menu's there. You can also book your reservations there. We're also booking for Mother's Day. 2 courses for $40. So bring mom, treat her. Right. Also, you can find us on Instagram at EYV Restaurant, Facebook at EYV Restaurant, and I think we're still on Twitter. I can't remember. I haven't been on Twitter in a long time. So Instagram and Facebook's probably the best way to find us at EYV Restaurant. Nice. Or just pop down here at 424 East Ohio Street
that's a true
and
story.
say hello.
Yeah, because it's easy for you Yinzers that complain about parking.
And we have to say, like, we love seeing that the north side is really coming back up. It's another neighborhood that you can really walk through. There's so many good places around here.
That was part of the allure of being here. Like, looking for the space, too, is not just to be somewhere, like, off adjacent or like that. Wanted to be a part of, like, a neighborhood and a sense of community and, like, reaching out with the Chamber of Commerce. We're doing some with the community garden in the future and just Siempre next door, Fig and Ash down the street. All of our neighbors. Minuteman Press has done a lot with us, too.
Yeah.
Just being that part of community and sense of ownership. And everyone's, like, really invested in everyone else's success. Allegheny City Bruin as well. Like, everyone's been fantastic and like really just welcomed us with open arms from like the first day they heard we were moving in. Like, anything you need, you guys let us know. And it's just, it really couldn't have found a better spot here. We're truly blessed and grateful to be here.
Love it. Question of the day. Don't think we got away from that. What is the vegetable that your parents made you sit at the table and eat until it was gone as a child that you resented?
Oh, probably I think asparagus or Brussels sprouts.
I think mine was Brussels sprouts.
I think it was Brussels because it was the old. It wasn't like, but I love Brussels sprouts now.
Same.
But hated them. But it was the ones that were frozen in the bag and they got microwaved in that old Betty Crocker like brown like top, and they just came out and they were like army green and bubbling with this water. You're like, oh my god, like what? Like they're like, eat it, and they're like, ugh. I felt like I was like in a Pink Floyd song. Like, if you don't eat your pudding, you can't.
That's a good point. That's
good.
exactly
You're
it.
Good.
Mike,
good.
you're a pleasure. Thank you so much for hosting
Well,
us
I take
today.
my cues from you guys. I just try to
Thank
match
you.
your energy. So
You're so sweet. We appreciate
thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
Yeah,
anytime.
thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're hanging out here.
All right.
Maybe
Mike-
someone else will get their act together and come to eat. Just saying.
Oh, I know. I got to get here. I definitely have to get
You know,
here.
you're not a spring chicken no more too, so you need to get a little more of that, veg up in there too. Get that cholesterol down a little bit.
Oh my God, I love the shaming. I have to admit it.
I love it.
Oh, Mike, you're awesome. All right, next up, we are having two ladies called the Unqualified Therapist from the Unqualified Therapist Podcast.
Cool.
You're awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Yeah. You're great. That was excellent.
All right.
All right.
Stick around for anything else, or?
No, you can go do your thing. Yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
Thank you. Hi, girls. Come on. You can. We'll just kind of shift a smidgen here. And yeah, you can just.
Sit close.
There you go. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
close court. I keep trying to like move back a
I
little
can slide
bit.
around.
No, I'm good. I just don't want you guys to feel like I'm all up in your grill.
As long as it's okay for us. We're
We're
all
all
right.
right.
Close. We're fine with
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Although we
Coming
have been
in-
working on boundaries. We do work on
So
those.
you're listening to the Altered Egos with an S, and we are now talking to a fellow group of podcasters. This is pretty cool. So Sarah and Amy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
So
Yeah.
we are
pleasure.
unqualified to be podcasters as well.
Yeah.
But
Who
your,
is really?
Your podcast is named Unqualified Therapist, right?
Yes. Correct, yes.
Give us a little bit of background, because I did read on the website about it, and it gets a little serious at this point, but then your website is kind of funny
We
as well.
loved the website. We didn't talk to you about this on the radio. That was fabulous.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
think
Thanks.
You chose pretty good words, but tell us a little bit about the background that made you qualified to be unqualified.
Yes.
So that's the whole point of us, is that mental health is a very serious topic, but we bring it to be a little bit lighter and a little bit funnier because it helps people to be able to talk about it. The reason we call it Unqualified Therapist is because we've both been in therapy. When we started the podcast, we counted 26 years, so probably 30 now.
Between the two of
Between
us.
the two of us,
Okay,
yes.
all
Between
right.
the two of us. And so we were like, we're kind of qualified. And we had so many things happen to us in life that was just really hard, things you would not ever wish upon anyone, and we survived it. And we just thought, it would be really interesting to talk from the other side of the couch and share with people what that's like.
Were you guys friends
great point.
before this, or met in therapy or something? How did that work out?
Yeah, we were friends
That's a funny
before this.
story.
Yes,
Okay.
it is a funny story. We like to say we met in. Should I say it? That word, the C word.
You can say it.
Cult life. Cult
Oh,
life.
okay.
Yes,
It's just
no.
you for catching
Did
my
I gave all of the
Just
the,
an MLM,
the producers
okay? It's just an
a
MLM,
heart
that's
attack
all.
for a minute. Yes.
C word.
No, I know. I know.
That will be the
I was like,
that will be the clip that we use to tease everybody to find to listen to the podcast, see if you use the C word or
Yes,
not.
go ahead.
But anyways, go ahead.
Yes, yes. We met in what we say cult life, but it is an MLM, multi-level marketing company.
Oh,
okay.
We became friends through that. But I had a yoga studio, and Amy was taking classes and ended up teaching with me. And we bonded over that. We had a lot of obstacles between us. But like Amy said, we've both been through some really rough things, and we just I had grown up, my dad had always kind of instilled this thing in me where it was like, it could always be worse. Somebody always has it worse than you. So even when I experienced things like I lost my dad, I lost my brother, I lost my mom, like I've been through a lot of loss and death and experiences like that. I was like, yes, but somebody out there has it worse than me. So it was like minimizing that trauma. Amy's also had a lot. I'll let her tell her own story, but so I lived this life of like toxic positivity and just being a cheerleader for everyone. And I was the fun person at parties and just always smiled through it all. And there was just one day after class that Amy decided, she's like, tested the waters. And I had asked her a question. I was like, so how was your weekend? And she said, well, I had the most censored word, anniversary dinner, or for the most censored word, marriage. And I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Because you thought we were like perfect.
Yes.
And everything was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So I was like, oh, wait, so you're experiencing things too? So then we started
opened that door.
talking.
Okay.
And we started, sharing with one another and being able to laugh about it a little bit. And we thought, I just remember we were at my house one day and Amy was like, we should have a podcast because we have so many stories to tell. And I think that we have so much to get out there and bring other people on and share their stories. But
And sharing the stories is where the healing comes in. And my husband passed away. He had bipolar disorder. So it was a long life and it was really hard. And I didn't share it with anyone. I lived 2 lives. I lived a very secret life. And so I finally opened up to her and I was like, hey, my life's really hard and here's how, after 17 years. And so that's kind of how we were like, maybe other people want to share their stories and maybe people need to hear these stories so they can be like, even if they're not ready to share, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. And so then they don't feel so alone.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a great point because it's so true. And the things that you say resonate with anyone, right? Because everybody has something and it's what's your threshold and what's the point where you break and you say, I can't take much more. Or to your point, when you have the role, we talked about this a couple weeks ago with someone else where you have the role of a mother, a leader, whatever, from a female perspective, males do as well by all means. But from a woman's perspective, that life balance is so hard to find because of the stigma that was. You're supposed to keep it all together. You're the matriarch. You're the this. You're the that. And then you're expecting yourself to not have those days that are a little bit different, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like the fact on your website, you talk, I might have the wording wrong, but you talked about inclusiveness as far as and opening the space up for people to what you just said. You expressed it. And I'm like, oh my God, now we open the entire door. So what are some of the folks that, feedback you've had or just some folks? I know that's like asking for your favorite kid or asking Mike for his favorite vegetable, but what's some of the lightheartedness that you've gotten out of it or just the satisfaction you both have gotten out of this?
I mean, we get, sorry.
No, it's okay. I think that right when we're about to be like, oh, nobody's listening. I don't know if you guys ever feel like you're just talking out into the void.
God, yeah.
And then we get these emails and we get these DMs of you have really helped me. You've been there and just hearing your stories has made such a difference. And for me, even if we get to interview famous people, that is what is so important to me. And that's why we do what we do.
Right. Yeah. Because there are times where this, nobody's listening. We're
We're talking to nobody.
We're talking to nobody, but
But it's helping you.
But
it is helping us. It's been cathartic for us, for sure. It started off, I think, more, to be honest, as a selfish thing where it was we get to release this stuff.
Yeah.
We get to tell our stories.
That's not selfish. You're just as important. But seriously, it's not selfish.
Right.
You were helping yourselves, and that's what started it.
Yes.
Right. But where it's going is totally different, right?
Yeah. Right. And I remember the first interview that I just kind of broke down and was like, oh my gosh, there are so many people out there with so many different experiences, but that we can all come together in this common bond of just being human beings that nobody knows what they're doing. And
Right,
we're all
there's no
helping.
manual,
Right,
right?
there's no manual. We're all helping each other.
There's actually a lot of manuals, but it's
which is the right
it's
one.
not
There
right
isn't the
everybody,
right one.
right?
Yeah. And that's why I love all the guests we have on too, because they open up what we call our toolbox. So we have this big toolbox now full of all of these hundreds of different ways to manage your mental health or to just get through life or get through the day. We've talked to so many different types of people. We've talked to a mortician. We talked to an art therapist. We've talked to
breathing
specialists, all kinds of different people.
Because we say right now, finding a therapist is nearly impossible because of the pandemic. And so there's other things you can do. And we talk about all of these toolbox, and it's not one size fits all. But then we also talk about finding that trusted friend. And not everybody is the right person for that. So kind of testing the waters and then just finding at least one person, because we say once you get it out of your head, it's so much less scary. Because if it's just spinning and spinning and spinning, it grows.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I guess part of the issue is that displacing the idea that going to a therapist means you're weak.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
that is so untrue. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that that's one of the things that we are trying to get out there. And I think that that's becoming less of the stigma, which the pandemic has brought us all together in this shared trauma. Everybody, all of us were finally in the same spot. And I think for some people, including myself, I don't want to speak for you, but including myself, when the shutdown happened, I felt relief. Because for the first time, I was in, depression and anxiety. And for the first time, I wasn't alone. The whole world was with me.
Yeah.
And we were all feeling the same shared experience. And it was okay, I can take a deep breath. I don't feel so alone anymore. And so that was kind of exciting.
I think that's a weird perspective that we have, and that's okay. But I remember saying I was grieving my husband so bad at that time. He had just passed away. And I was like, oh, everybody's sad. It's okay. Like the world actually did stop, because when someone passes away, you're like, why is the world continuing on here? Like, doesn't anybody understand this pain? And so coming out of that, I feel like we all had this shared experience. It doesn't matter what level. And now we're just trying to rebuild.
Yeah.
Great point.
And then, we all watched Tiger King and all thought we were going to get better, right? We're like, my life's not that crappy, right?
Right.
So, like, it raised our level.
From the C word to Tiger King.
We're like, okay, I'm depressed, but I'm not
we
that
all get
bad.
that. That was a shared experience right there. Tiger King during the pandemic.
Oh my God. No, I love the fact that you're bringing that balance. John and I talk regularly about how so many Americans, whether it's politics, whether it's life choices, whatever, it's so about polarizing it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's this side, it's this side. Like, no, it's right here.
Yeah.
Listen to both and understand that, like, the more
Yes.
we look at both sides and sort of just stop and say, it's not about being weak for seeking a therapist.
Right.
And also, you're not the worst. Everybody has something. So
Yeah.
don't think it's just about you. There's this middle, you know, and I love it. You guys bring a perspective that we appreciate.
We also want to say, because we say this all the time, there's no worst thing that could happen. Everybody's something is bad, and it's
That's a
something.
good point.
And it's on a
It's
spectrum,
personal.
right? Yeah,
It's
right.
personal because just because we had heavier things doesn't mean your things are less.
Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll come on and talk to you girls about that situation.
Well, we actually want to have you on.
You guys
Thanks,
got to
Gab.
come on.
Wait, would
yeah.
that be individually or together?
Asking for a friend.
Right.
Do we need
Just asking
relationship
for friends.
conversation?
Oh
Yeah.
my, we
Yeah.
can mediate.
Podcast
We
host.
can mediate.
Oh my God, you guys, this is great. Where can everybody find you and follow you?
Go ahead.
Okay, so we are on Instagram mostly. That's where our big social media kind of where we keep up with the most because we're in our 40s and keeping up with social media
It's
stuff
exhausting.
sometimes. Instagram's our main place, but you can also find us on TikTok where we pretend to know what we're doing. And we have our website, unqualifiedtherapists.com.
John loves
Which
it.
is a good
Yes.
website.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And shout out that you will be on Talk Pittsburgh.
Yes.
We will. We'll be on Talk Pittsburgh on Monday, May 1st. We'll be talking about body image then, and then we'll be on May 11th. We're going to be talking
about the podcast. And it's
yeah.
Mental Health Awareness Month.
It
It
is.
is.
May.
Yes.
Yes.
That's great.
But you can listen to us wherever you find podcasts. Like you guys have said, please follow YaJagoff, follow Unqualified Therapists.
It helps
on-
us so much. Follow.
Yes.
We like them. Check mark because they said that.
All right, now you have to answer our question of the day.
Okay.
All right.
Gag while you say it. Go ahead.
You say it, 'cause
What is the
I
one
think of
vegetable,
my
like you
mom.
remember, we're all sort of from that same genre, right? Where our parents would say, you are not getting up from
Yep.
this table until you finish that vegetable. And you wanted to punch them in the face,
Yep.
but you didn't because you were afraid, so you ate the stupid vegetable.
And if you did, you're probably going to need to be on their podcast.
Oh, you guys are going to gag. Are you ready?
Yes.
Lima beans. My mom loved them and would make me eat them all the time.
I still don't eat them.
Okay.
I can't.
Chef
I still
Mike,
can't.
You need to help me. Yeah.
I just think any vegetable from a can. Oh, yuck.
That's a really good answer.
Like, no thanks.
I do eat green beans out of a
I do
can.
too. I do
Yeah.
too.
I've come
Yeah.
up with 4 right now already.
Don't tell Mike. I feel like
me
Mike's
gag.
like, shut up, John.
No,
You know what
no.
I did as a
No,
kid
I
though?
love
I added
vegetables.
Italian dressing to the green beans from the can.
Italian dressing
They're good.
fixes everything.
It does.
I
It
hear
fixes
ranch
everything.
fixes everything.
It does.
All right, ladies, thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your
Thank
time.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so
Thanks so
much.
much.
More
Yeah.
music from Altered Egos, and then we talk to Chris DeRose. Cool.
That was great.
Oh, no, you guys. Well,
You're
we'll just
good. We
edit
just
it in
say
there.
that. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Watch your step, girls. Thank
Thank you.
Pleasure. Did you catch up on your Chris DeRose talk? So that, 'cause I made you stop.
Oh, boy.
Reach your nose.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Either one, yeah. You're
Chris
fine.
DeRose.
I'll use the one with the flag.
There you go. I like that.
I'm
I like
used
that.
to that.
We appreciate. Listen to that voice, which leads us to. This is Chris DeRose from KDKA, and a little story is that John and I saw the announcement on Facebook because the algorithm had us see the KDKA,
Yeah,
newbie,
right, yeah.
and we were like, oh, that's cool. We love that they hire hometown people because you're originally from east of Pittsburgh, Latrobe, correct?
Latrobe, PA.
Yep.
Yeah.
We then saw you at like 3 events back to back, and we were like, we need to get this guy on, right?
Right.
And we love the way you report, to be honest with
thank
you.
you.
That is the real answer on why we wanted to get you on.
We have to do something fun with you, though, because you always
Okay.
get kind of, you have to do those early morning, fires and crashes and all that kind of stuff. But we have to get you out to report on something fun with us.
He means like go to Gus and Yaya's and like hang out.
yeah.
I won't say no to that.
Okay, cool.
I do get, every once in a while, I enterprise a feature story on my own. So
Yes.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of them, and,
Okay.
and they've gotten good
Well,
feedback. So yeah.
we almost had to fight because Rachel had to hold me back from you because every time we go through the Fort Piton, I go, we had this revelation. We should do this podcast from that room up there that nobody knows what happens up in that glass room. 2 weeks later, you did it. I'm like, oh my God, he
John's
stole
like,
my
remember
story.
when we wanted him on the
right,
podcast?
Right.
I was told when I was a kid that there was a toy store in there that nobody could get to.
What?
Yeah, and I was always like, every time we would go through, and typically it'd be the Squirrel Hill Tunnel. We'd be driving into the city from Westmoreland County, but I'd always be like, why can't I? Okay.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. That is so funny. It was a great
super,
story.
That was a
Yeah,
super
it is
cool
a great
story. I love those kind of
So
things.
a little.
Real quick,
No,
I
go ahead.
brought a gift. I hope it's okay.
God.
I am a fan of the podcast. I'm a listener, and I know we're at a good eatery right now, but I heard you both like Panera's bread or Panera, and I got you guys gift cards to Panera.
God. Remember when we liked those girls? Chris, you love Panera. We
Now,
are at Panera.
I
all
don't
the
make a
time.
ton of money, so they're not that much. But
Wait, do you know that we have a love-hate relationship with Panera?
Yeah, I do,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Because of the way they make you get all your stuff.
John wrote
We
a
have-
blog post about it. It's hysterical. You are too cute, and we
You-
appreciate
oh
it
my
because
God, he is
my
sweet.
daughter has voice lessons in Cranberry on Sundays, and
you
I
go.
literally sit there. So thank you.
yeah,
Boom.
my
Oh.
grandmother always said, make sure people are eating, bring a plate.
That's
you know.
it, right?
Yeah.
You have to bring
I could see a
something.
day where Rachel goes, "Hey, you still have that Panera card?"
He's not kidding. I have 3 kids. I need it more.
There we go.
Chris, we are so glad to have you. And what we love is not only are you KDK, which we very easily boast is our favorite.
Oh, right.
But in the meantime, you were the boomerang. You left your Western PA roots.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of different places. LA. Where else?
Utah.
Utah.
I've been. I'm like the song. I've been everywhere, man.
Yeah.
I started in. Grew up in Latrobe. Went to high school out in New Jersey. I went to college in Maryland. Did 10 years in Chicago. Did 3 years in Los Angeles. A year in Montana. About a year in Salt Lake, and a little stopover in Indiana for a few months. And now I'm back
Wait,
home.
Los Angeles to Montana has to be totally crazy unique.
Well,
as
the
far as
pandemic
news.
played into that. Yeah. The whole, truncated, it's a long story, but essentially I was in Chicago and I fell into a really good TV job there. And then after about 6 years, the show was starting to wrap up. They weren't renewing my contract. And then I met a guy from Jeanette who had started a production company in LA, and he said, come be a producer for me. So I did. But when I literally right before I got to Los Angeles, he called me on the phone. Well, his assistant called me and said, hey, we don't have any money left. We're folding the company. Good luck. And maybe we'll have you back for, freelance if we ever get the company formed again. So I landed in LA. I'm like, okay.
Oh my
I'm
God,
here.
right.
I've got $9,000 in the bank. Let's see how this lasts. And I was knocking on every door. I was calling in every favor. And nobody cared about any of my last 6 years. And they were just like, yeah, you can go get us coffee. I'm like,
Oh
okay,
my
all
God.
right, here we are.
Wow.
So you kind of started all over again.
So I started all over again, and I found a home. I was freelancing a bunch, doing assistant work on scripted TV and scripted film. And then I really found a home at Universal Studios Hollywood, the entertainment capital of LA,
Right.
as a Universal Studios tour guide on the back lot. And then I was doing that, and I also became a VIP guide, which is like a more exclusive way to take people around the lot and theme park. And I absolutely loved it. But after 3 years, I was starting to, put out resumes, trying to get something going, anything going, and then the pandemic hit. And it just so happened one of the resumes I had thrown out there was to work for the Montana Television Network because they were looking for somebody to kind of, create features and, highlight the state and stuff like that. And so after 60 days of sitting in my apartment in Los Angeles, I basically emailed them and I said, is that job still available? And they said, no, it's not. But if you want to be a reporter, that's
way.
open. And if you can get up here safely, that's open. And I went, okay, I don't know when the studios are opening back up. So I was like, all right, I'll go back in the news.
Look at that.
So I left.
If that's not a story of how to be resourceful, I don't know what is.
Well, yeah. After 60 days of I loved my roommate, but like we were getting on each other's
Yeah.
nerves.
Oh my
Sure.
God.
Wow, what a
wow.
story.
Yeah.
So coming back to Pittsburgh, pretty cool. And actually, let's go back to growing up in Latrobe. That Steeler country for sure. So what was that like, having all that happen in your backyard? Did you recognize that when you were younger, or like realize what the Taj Mahal of football it is for Pittsburghers?
It really, every summer you would know when the Steelers were coming to town. Like I get goosebumps just thinking about it because it was such a great time. Late July, you would start seeing all the trucks start rolling in by town. You would start to see all the big flashy cars coming in, and then you would go up to training camp and go see practices and things, but at the local restaurants, like the Steelers would go out. So I vividly remember running into Plaxico Burress at the Eaton Park.
loved him.
And it's stuff like that. In Levine, Kirkland, there's a great place in Latrobe called the Touchdown Club that my friend Mike runs. But people, they would stop in the Touchdown Club all the time. They would go to Joey-O's Pizza. And it was awesome having the Steelers in town.
Wow.
And then having that history too, because Latrobe is the home of not only Fred Rogers, but Arnold Palmer. And,
Yes.
And I was fortunate. My family belonged to the Latrobe Country Club, and I got to meet Arnie Palmer several times, and he was a really, really nice guy. So it was weird coming from that area and having all this great like sports history right
Sure.
there,
Yeah.
living in front of you.
Right.
And then Bill Cowher yelled at me once at training camp too, but
He yelled at for what?
I was in his way. It was 1996.
Did he go? Did he put that jaw out?
No,
I always liked him too. Yeah.
Here's the quick story. We were getting autographs, and I met like Jerome Bettis, Myron Cope, Rod Woodson, just one after another. I'm like, this is incredible. Bill Cowher comes walking down from the dorms, and we said, Mr. Cowher, can we have your autograph? And there's maybe 4 of us, and he goes, no problem. Come with me. I'm going to take you over to the gym. You guys wait here. I'm going to go check in with somebody, and I'll be back out. And we're like made guys. We're walking through security, and we get there, and about 2 minutes later, the gym door flies open, and Bill Cowher comes out, and he's yelling pretty directly at us, but he's also just telling security to get us out of there. So something happened, and he there was language I won't use.
It's on the
It's the C word.
The C word.
It's on their it's on the Unqualified Therapist
Callback.
website.
Yeah. So there was language he was using. I won't repeat, but I remember being like, oh, I must have angered Bill Cowher in some way, shape, or form. And I carried that for years.
Oh, my
And then
God.
I realized he probably got bad news. or something.
That's all right.
Yeah.
But isn't it funny how that's sort of like, you're like, oh, I'll remember that Cowher. You know,
Yeah.
like for a while you can't help it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you somehow get
But that's
over
my
it.
claim to
But
fame. I'm
that's-
like, Bill Cowher yelled at me.
Yeah,
when
there
I was
you go.
16.
And you weren't playing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
So you
kind
came
of a good
back
thing.
to Pittsburgh after being gone so long. What was one of the first 5 things well, I'm here in Pittsburgh? Was it your family wanting to take you out? He's like, oh no, I have to go do this.
Oh, that's a good question. I started.
Hello, Rachel. It's 1-0.
Girls, you failed me.
I
That's all I'm saying. Twice. Go ahead.
I'm kind of a creature of habit, so
Yeah.
I haven't been back in a while. So my parents still live in Latrobe, and I was one day I was like, I'm going to go over to Fort Ligonier and just walk around, because I came back kind of midsummer. And so I went to Fort Ligonier, and I'll go to the pie shop, and just like all the old haunts.
Yeah.
Just,
Yes, right.
Just checking in, seeing places.
And they're like, it's Chrissy.
Yeah,
Chrissy's
yeah.
here.
Chrissy's back.
how you doing? Yeah.
That's so funny.
Where are you living now?
Yeah.
I get a lot of because anybody who's tried to keep up with me over the years, they
Well, right.
they're like, where are you now? What are you doing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and
do you sort of feel this sense of like, I'm home?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Aw.
It's good to be home. It's good. It's so weird. I drive usually once a week back to Latrobe, see my family, and every time I do that trip in 55 minutes or whatever, I'm like, well, that was quick.
Yeah.
I'm used to 7, 8, 10, 12
Yeah.
hour drives,
Yes.
several day drives, or
Sure.
catching a flight somewhere.
Right.
And yeah, it's all pretty easy now.
Oh,
But
Chris, we
it's good to
love
be
having
home.
you. Yeah, you can tell. And we always say, and we told this to you when we weren't on air, we said, KDK truly is the essence of hometown. And that's what they embody. And it's great to have you there.
We have a lot of pride.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of pride being part of KDK.
There's so much legacy. I mean, all
Yeah.
of the stations have been around for a long time. And I always find it fascinating, no matter what station you're on, how many people say they came here to be the stop before the next one, and they end up getting trapped to stay for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
But, the fact that there really is so much legacy at KDK TV, it's amazing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Between I know the radio is technically only a name now because I believe it's Audacity
Sure.
that runs
Yes.
it, but between radio and television, those call letters have
Sure.
power.
Value, no question. Yeah.
Well, I always think of the Montreal Canadiens locker room that's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like, when you walk into that
Oh,
place, like
yeah.
that's what I sort of picture KDK to be. I know they just refurbished the whole
I was
place.
going to say
but-
we did just
Yeah.
upgrade.
It's amazing.
But, the fact that all these hallowed people, really, really highly respected people were there. It's amazing. And all the things they did, the live TV, like they did with PTL, that nobody else does that.
Yeah, you guys are absolutely right. I have nothing to add other than, you're right.
Yeah.
But you're part of that.
You're there,
and that's
you're
the
part
great
of it
part.
now,
yeah.
which is super cool.
It's
Got to be an honor.
It's I was fortunate. I've worked with a lot of great people over my career. One of the folks I got to work with for a few years, and he passed last year, was comedian Gilbert Godfrey.
Oh yeah,
And
saw that,
he told me a story that he had a really rough time on Saturday Night Live, and he was there for less than half of a year, and he got fired. But he went back for one of the big anniversaries, the 40th, and Lorne Michaels came up to him, and he kind of shied away, and Lorne Michaels said, well, you're a brick in this wall. He said, it doesn't matter that you weren't here for a long time. Like, you helped make that. So that resonates with me. It's like, you're a brick in the wall. You were here.
Another Pink Floyd reference.
I thought you were going to sing.
Wow, this is like themed beyond comprehension.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of callbacks.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Right. This will be the one podcast everybody has to go rewind.
So many
wait,
names.
did
yeah.
I hear that earlier?
Yeah. Well, Chris, we're happy to have you. We definitely want to do like either a Primanti's or a Gus and Yaya's. That's your jam.
We're working on getting Royce Jones to go to Gus and Yaya's because he's never had
He
one.
hasn't had it.
Yeah,
and
like,
we're
how
not
do you
happy.
even do
Yeah.
that? But,
so we're working on
so
that.
we have to
Maybe
get
we'll
him out
double
there.
up.
That would be a fun segment.
We'll do it. Chris, where does everybody find you and follow you?
I'm on. So Twitter is just for work. It's all very straightforward. This is the news of the day. Instagram is really for fun. That's at Chris DeRose TV. I think they're all at Chris DeRose TV. And then Facebook is a little mix of both.
Okay.
Yeah. But definitely the fun stuff more on Instagram. So
Love that.
I'm a bit of a ham
And
sometimes.
it's okay that reporters are fun people. I think that's the blessing
great.
of social media is that we get to see the other side of life of reporters.
They're
Yeah,
supposed
totally.
to be, for sure. Yeah.
It's tough, seeing some of the hard stuff sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's nice to have a little outlet.
Yeah. Chris, you're not escaping the question.
Okay.
When you were sitting around your dinner table as a kid and your parents said, you are not getting up until you eat this vegetable, what was it?
Broccoli.
Broccoli's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
But-
smells bad, but it tastes delicious.
But it kind of worked at some point. At some point, they just stopped because I was, not going
Yeah.
to do it. And then somewhere down the line in maybe high school, I actually started eating it on my own. And I went, I
Yeah,
actually
it's not so
enjoy
bad.
this.
Yeah.
Right.
And now I enjoy vegetables, which if you talk to me at 12 or
Yes,
when I was getting.
That's the way
yeah.
I am. Yeah. I love vegetables now. Yeah. I mean,
When I was getting yelled at by Bill Cowher, I was not a fan of vegetables.
Right.
So, yeah.
I love vegetables so much that we were in wherever I was with my family, most recent in Philly, for hockey. And we went to a Buffalo Wild Wings and I ordered cauliflower. Like literally, because you can substitute the chicken for cauliflower.
Was it good?
Oh, it's amazing. And my family makes complete fun of me, and they, say it smells and they hate it, but that's the age, right?
Cauliflower pizza crust is really
Love it.
good.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, there's a
good.
lot of vegetables are
They're
good.
fine.
Yeah, they're
they're
good.
back. They're back on the target. Chris, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope we get more of this with you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Nice.
All right. Altered
Coming
Egos.
up next, we get to meet our band.
That was perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Do you need me to do a spot for Rorik Honda?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. We should have you do that. Are you allowed to do that?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
oh my God, what is this?
I don't don't know.
I'll say, yeah, you guys want some snack?
Oh my gosh, yeah, thank you.
You need a little bar snack.
All right. All right, come on in there, Eric and Ann.
Bring your own bowl. BYOB, because this is how we're going to do it.
All right. Is it tacky if I just dump the bowl in my mouth?
It's tacky if you put your head back and just kind of like,
All right, so coming in for music, it's Eric and Ann from the Alter Egos. So welcome to our podcast. We're glad you guys had time to come and eat vegetables with us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
All right, so tell us a little bit of background about the band here.
You always leave this to me.
I know, he does that every time. I love it.
Yeah, so like I met my wife in music theory class as like when I first started playing guitar, and kind of the irony there is that I continued on and she was there as a music major, and I stuck it out. No business being in this class, but I did. And then so our kids were kind of raised in a musical family, and Ann started off at an early age singing and piano, clarinet, bass clarinet, guitar, like a bunch. I later in life got into a band with a bunch of work friends. And, then the pandemic hit. I was up in New York. We wound up moving back, and I was like, I want to get back into a band. So we started with a few friends, and then Ann's like, I think I want to sing with you guys. And she came down and sang one song, and they were like, okay, we got something here.
Shoot, this was your mom and I's night out, but now you're going to mess it up.
Yeah.
What I love hearing is the fact that you were the offspring of it all, but you weren't forced into it, because I think there's often that stigma, where musicians sort of say, well, what do you think? And then there's this like long pause. What are you into? And the fact that you liked it first, I think is, speaks volumes, for what I think kids need. That culture. They need to hear different music, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
did you play the clarinet? Is that what it was?
I did play the clarinet.
Why that instrument?
Well, well,
Did he make you?
No,
Okay.
well,
kind of.
I wanted to play percussion.
You wanted to play the flute too.
And the flute, but my mother played clarinet, so that's where that comes from.
Okay.
Fair enough.
But we had two clarinets, really nice clarinets, so they were like, you're going to play clarinet.
Are you glad now that you're
I am, yeah. I mean, an instrument in general is always good to know.
So you're multifaceted as far as reading music, I guess, because the music for a guitar or music for a drum is different than clarinet music, I would say, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's almost like learning 3 different languages. Is it that hard?
I wouldn't say it's that hard, because it's all the same. Like if you're in bass clef or I can't even think treble clef. So it's all the same notes basically. It's just how you play them on the instrument.
I see. Okay.
So I mean, you have to be able to figure out how it works on each instrument, translate it to each instrument, if that makes sense.
How does a big voice come out of that little body?
Seriously.
I took voice lessons for a really long time, but I think also because I played bass clarinet, I think that was a big factor on it of why I have so much air. But
yeah,
I think
and that's half the key, right? That's half the battle. Is
just being able to get the diaphragm and everything.
Love that.
Yeah.
So we know that you guys are performing a lot around Pittsburgh. What has that been like? We talked a little bit about this on the radio, but what has it been like coming back to Pittsburgh and seeing that, we boast of Nashville and places like that where everywhere you're walking, there's somebody playing an instrument or performing. Pittsburgh's starting to become that, right?
Yeah.
It used to be you could only play at Jurgles or the Craft House. And now there are these small venues, like even a place like this, they are putting people in corners because people want to hear it, right?
Yeah.
Are you seeing that more and more and enjoying that?
Yeah, and it was kind of a little bit double-edged for us at first because there was a big backup with COVID. So as a new band, we were having a really hard time getting gigs. Nobody really knows who you are. But then good friends of us in the Prince Project who played at the Hard Rock last week, I'm good friends with their guitar player and the rest of the band. They had us open for them at Jurgles, and that was a game changer for us. And then there's a lot of other places, like Tonight at 31, they have a burgeoning music scene there that's a really great venue. And then the place we talked about next week, Tapache, they put out an outdoor stage area, and they're looking to have live music there a lot more. So it's been really good. And there's a lot of really good support within Pittsburgh from other musicians. Like I said, the Prince Project with Wayne Smith. Donnie Iris was at our show a couple of back in February and came up and talked to Ann a bit. And and I grew up with Robbie Hertwig from the Clarks, Rob James, and and that whole scene is just so supportive of musicians coming up in the area. Yeah. And it's really cool. It gives me goosebumps how cool
wonderful.
It is. Yeah.
I love hearing that.
Well, are you guys willing to play another song for us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, before we do that, tell everybody where they find you online.
Yeah, they can find us at thealteregos.com online.
All right.
You can also find us on Facebook as The Altered Egos, because I'm over 50, and that's kind of the medium
You can
that I
also
got
find
used
us
to.
on Instagram.
On Instagram.
Okay.
'Cause that's
And-
my generation.
Oh, right. So
Yeah.
you're like, Mom, Dad, I got the social media.
Oh,
Take care of Facebook.
Yeah,
No,
like, sit
it's
back.
funny because I actually don't take care of the Instagram.
Oh, right. Oh my
we
gosh.
have our pianist's daughter do it. She's
Oh, okay.
18, 17.
Okay.
Yeah, she
All
does
right.
a better job than
And
I
we
do.
might add that Paul Farriga is part of this band.
Yes.
here. Well,
Yes,
how
he
about
is.
that, Paul?
Yeah.
Oh,
When I
yes.
looked
It's
at your website, I'm like, is that Paul? And then you guys
Yeah.
sent an email like Paul is involved. That's so funny.
Yes.
Yeah, Paul's
What
a
a
great
small
guy,
world.
and he's just been a great
We
kind
love
of
him.
like mentor and
Yeah.
figure within the band to all
A
of
little
us.
help
so-
with some PR there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And drummer Dan.
And drummer Dan, we have a great drummer. He's 22 or 23 years old.
22.
He plays in 2 other bands, Steel Mill Rising, who will play with the Jurgles.
Oh,
we know
Steel
Steel
Mill
Mill
Rising.
Rising,
We've had
yeah.
them a bunch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll be with them at Jurgles on May 21st. It's a Sunday night. And then he also plays in a pop punk band called Main Street
Main Street
Detour.
Detour.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we've had them open for us at the Bridge, which is
awesome.
another great
Yeah.
place
Yeah.
that you have to
Bridge
check
Music
out.
Bar
Bridge
is
Music
really
Bar
good.
is
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Their
All
sound
right, you
system
guys,
is cool.
question of the day. You're in EYV. You're still in this kind of area where your parents say, eat your vegetables. What's the one that you refuse to eat?
Broccoli.
Broccoli's another one.
Well,
Huh?
they would force me to eat broccoli,
See,
and it
you
was the
didn't force
frozen
music,
broccoli.
But you forced broccoli.
Well, you got to eat their vegetables, right?
What's your answer?
So canned sweet potatoes. And I now eat sweet potatoes, but like we were like on we grew up with not a lot of money, and so my parents got from a food bank or something like some canned sweet potatoes, and I was eating them until my eyes were bulging,
Yeah.
and I didn't eat them for like 40 years after that.
Yeah.
And now I don't eat them out of a can, but I actually have my own sweet potato recipes and stuff.
Oh,
It's
there
kinda
you
fun.
go. There you go.
Share.
Yeah.
So wait, answer the question. What made you gag? What vegetable?
I don't know. You go first because I don't.
Well,
I
I
don't
have,
know.
like I said, I
love
have a whole list
vegetables.
because the good news is I learned to eat vegetables out of peer pressure as I got older. But
Same.
Canned peas made me gag. But my biggest one was because of the combination. On Fridays during Lent, we would have salmon patties, Kraft macaroni and cheese, and stewed tomatoes. And it would take about 10 tons of Kraft macaroni and cheese to get one salmon patty and the stewed tomatoes down. But I was
Stewed
not allowed to
tomatoes
get
are a
up
good one,
until
I hated mushrooms, and what's my favorite food now?
yeah, mushroom.
Yeah,
nice.
so there you go.
All right,
Tracy
so-
is gagging completely. She hates vegetables.
But I love fresh peas now. Like peas are so
I'm
good
a
at
big
this point.
vegetable
Yeah.
person.
All right.
All right.
All
we
right.
digress. We cannot wait to have you guys perform. Let us just get through our thank yous.
Good. You do the ad?
All right. So thank you to all of our guests, of course. We had a great time with the Unqualified Therapist podcast. Sarah and Amy, check them out. They will be on on the Talk this Monday. Again on May 11th. Krista Rose, couldn't wait to have him on. He was a fantastic guest. Please make sure you're following him and KDKA because, there's a little theme going on here. Thank you to Mike from EYV. Please get here. Support local. He's a great chef with a great staff and a great product, if you ask me. So
He
make
will
sure
have
you
no
come down
problem
here.
if you come in and say, I want to eat vegetables,
YaJagoff.
Right.
He's
he
in.
will love
for
that.
sure. And Honda is like Cher, Elton, Oz, one-word phenom people who know all about what is good. So the most cost-effective is the HR-V. The longest-lasting is the Accord. And when it comes to a good year for Honda, when considering a used vehicle, 2013 is a good one for quality and price.
Just a few reasons to buy a Honda, and the Roic Advantage solidifies the reason. Go to roichonda.com for all of your vehicle needs. All right, here we go. You guys ready to
Yes.
end us? All right.
It started when you were 5. Never learned how to take a dive, but you learned rule number 5 when you're making it the hard way. You fought your way through school, nothing golden in that rule. Unless you wanna be someone's fool, you'll be making it the hard way. Every single day, you're the predator and the prey, doing whatever it takes to make it home one more day. Every single day, you're the predator and the prey, doing whatever it takes to make it home one more day. You face the bullies on that's just another day when you're making it the hard way. Your old man said you never could, and you'd never be any good. But that's just what they like to say when you're making it the hard way. Every single day, you're the predator and the prey, doing whatever it takes to make it one more day. Every single day, you're the predator and the prey, doing whatever it takes to make it one more day. Every day and night, it's always one big fight, and there's never a way out inside when you're making it the hard way. It's a dangerous game to play. You wish there was some other way, and with your life you'll pay. You'll be making it the hard way. You have the devil in your head, telling you be better off dead, but you gotta go and make your bread when you're making it the hard way. Every single day, you're the predator and the prey, and doing whatever it takes to make it one more day. Every single day, you're the predator and the prey, and doing whatever it takes to make it one more day. Every day and night, it's always one big fight, and there's never a way out inside when you're making it the hard way. As the baby leaves the womb, it starts a journey to its tomb. You know that every single day they'll be making it the hard way.
Woo! Again, how to do the woo.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. Actually, we're going to do a quick ad here, right?
We
Can we
are.
borrow your microphone, actually, if you don't mind? All right, you
this
got
one.
that one. All right.
Ready?
All right. Listen, Jagoffs. When you're digging into a Permane sandwich, digging into a Millie's ice cream, or you're digging into anything Pittsburgh, remember you have to be careful, especially when you're digging into your yard to put your pool in or your French drain.
Did you know nearly 50 million Americans don't think to call 811 before they dig? This leads to an underground utility line being damaged every 6 minutes. These damages are the most common cause of gas incidents. Your friends and ours at People's Gas want to make sure that we remind you to call 811 before you dig. As always, visit peoples-gas.com for more information on safe digging.
Now